Hello, you're listening to the final episode of the Live Wild podcast in this season with me, Hilary Rose. We hope to be back very soon with another season packed with loads of interesting chats with glorious guests who are living their lives wild and free. This episode's glorious guests are none other than my two gorgeous friends and on-screen sons, Alex Murphy and Chris Walley, who play Conor and Jock in The Young Offenders.
I always feel like such a fraud if I ever give advice.
Yeah, my advice is often, especially for people going for drama school and stuff like that, is literally that is no advice, because I used to ask people always advice and stuff, and I didn't get into drama school the first time around, but as soon as you're taking people's advice, you're not being yourself, and that's exactly the whole point, is to see who you are. So if you think what you're saying is the right answer, then that's not really you, and even if you get in because of that reason, then you haven't gotten, you know what I mean, that's a false representation of who you are. So I would always kind of be hesitant. I'd stay away from advice. The only advice I give is to actually trust your instincts, like really to go with that. But I mean, that's what fucking every good acting class tells you.
People say them all the time, but know your lines and show up on time.
I couldn't finish out the season without talking to them. Have we saved the best till last? I dare say possibly. I thoroughly enjoyed this chat, not least because I got to catch up with these two. They are both kind, considerate and brilliant young actors. We chat about fame at an early age, their career paths, what they stand for, and obviously all things The Young Offenders. You can follow them both on Instagram at AlexMurphy_97 and at WallyChris. And now, here's the show. I'm here on the Live Well podcast, and I want to welcome two of my very favourite human beings besides my own children. But in fact,
including
they did.
Sorry.
But in fact, they did play my children on screen. It's none other than Alex Murphy and Chris Walley.
Woo! Hello.
How's it going?
It's so brilliant to have you here today on the Live Well podcast. Like, we don't get to hang out enough, actually, so it's really nice to have this as an excuse, even though we should just call each other, really. You know, I don't have to book you in.
It's easier to hang out if it's a job.
Yeah, exactly.
Virtually.
A virtual job. I suppose if we go back to the start, like, it's really been a lovely process for me to watch you guys, because I met you when you were a lot younger. Like, I view you now, obviously, as grown men. I'm not going to say mature, but I'm going to say grown men.
Definitely not.
But like, I met you when, you were 16 and 18. I think it was 16 and 18, wasn't it? Alex, you were 16?
Yeah, I
Chris,
was,
you were 18?
I was 16.
So
yeah.
It's been like a really beautiful process for me to watch you guys, come on over the years. But Alex, let's go to you first. When I met you, you were auditioning for The Young Offenders, okay?
Yeah.
And looking back now, it feels like you were really young at the time. Did you always want to be an actor from a really early age, or was it just this chance thing?
Not really. I knew I enjoyed it because, like, my mum, she obviously saw something in me, so she kind of made me go to drama classes when I was like 7. She always hates when I say made.
Yeah.
Like, in The Sun the other day, it said you forced me to go. I was like, well, you stop reading The Sun and you'll be all right. She forced me to go to drama school, and I just really liked it because I was terrible at sports, so that was something I was kind of a bit better at. But at no point did I think it was actually a viable kind of career option. Wow. At all. I just thought you're either Brad Pitt or you're not working at all. I didn't know there was an in between, really.
And sometimes Brad Pitt doesn't work. Let's call it out.
This is true. And the young offenders, whatever that thing was, just came up on Facebook, and they were like, send in it was quite long. It was like, send in like a 4-minute tape of you just talking about yourself.
I think it was even longer than that.
Yeah,
It was like 10 minutes or something.
So long. I do not know what to say. So somewhere on an iPad at home is just like 40 clips of me kind of going, hi, I'm Alex. And I eventually I just talked for 5 or 6 minutes, sent it in, and then I think you or Peter got back to me saying, come on in and meet us. And that's where I met Chris. This was the first rehearsal. The first audition. Was it Chris or the second?
It was
The first. We didn't do a second, did we?
You did. I think.
did?
No, we did. We went in separately, and then we went in together
Yeah.
for the
Yeah.
second one. Yeah.
That was it. But to be
I
honest,
don't think I saw you. I don't think I saw you in
No.
the first one.
Yeah, it was the second one. My mum was there because I was under 18. Oh, me and Chris just used to love telling that story, and I was like,
Yeah, that was,
don't talk to him. It's fraternizing with the enemy. And we just thought, oh, the interviewers love this story. They lapped it up.
Just get so emotional thinking of it.
Yeah. And there was a bit of truth to it. I mean, we didn't know there was 2 parts going.
Yeah.
But
you wanted to be Jock as well.
we both wanted to be Jock. Jock was the fun one. I mean, in the audition sides, it was Jock's the one stealing bikes and being a legend. But,
And it was
but
so
looking
funny
back
when
on it
we.
now, imagine.
That's the thing is when we got cast, Peter was like, "No, I haven't decided who's Conor or who's Jock," and then we were like, "But the dynamic would be really bizarre if it was like it kind of seems so obvious now, but yeah, at the time, like,
Yeah.
well, it would have been a bit like it would have been a bit of Mice and Men if it was the other way around."
Chris,
Wouldn't
Chris, what about you? Like was from an early age? I think I know the answer to this one because I've got actually a really funny story your mum told me, but I'm going to let you answer first and see what comes out. But from a really
I
early
don't know
age,
this.
did you want to be an actor, or was it something again that kind of snowballed as you got older?
It's definitely the thing that I remember wanting to do first with my life. Like I think when I was really young, as with every other kid, a lot of them wanted to be a footballer, and they thought that Man United Alex Ferguson was going to come and scout me from Riverstown, but I wasn't very good to start with, so that wasn't
So that's something you
really
both
ever
had
a
in
viable
common.
option. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but no, yeah, from as long as I could remember, that's what I wanted to do. And I remember being in school, and I still look at my like the communion books. You know, your Holy Communion book where you write like stuff in it, and I'm like, I want to be an actor and I want to do all this. So I think, yeah, and that was when I was, I don't know, you're like 7 when you make your communion.
Oh my
So
goodness!
yeah, for as long as I can remember, that's
Wow.
what
Then
I've
in the end, you
wanted
got
to
to
do.
work with Roy Keane, so you kind of got to
Exactly.
live.
We got the
Fucking hell, yeah.
football
It's
and
like-
the
Yeah.
acting in there as well.
Spider-Man into the multiverse or some sort of
Yeah.
stuff there. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to share the story that your mum told me about you when you're younger, because now I've mentioned it, I can't not say it for the listeners. But it was so like our families, for the listeners, are quite close, and we have, you know, family get-togethers, barbecues.
That's weird.
which-
It's a separate friend group.
yeah,
All our
yeah,
parents.
yeah, totally,
It's
totally.
true.
But and we haven't done it in quite a while actually. But one of the stories your mum loves to tell was, Chris, when you were young, she'd find you somewhere in the house, but it was normally in front of a mirror.
Oh yes, yeah.
And in
Yeah.
front of the mirror, you were just playing out different characters, or you could have been like reciting things, or weeping in the mirror, or just generally looking at yourself.
Now I'm not gonna let you throw Chris under the bus on his own for this, because I've been choked up the past week with plague. I've been using a bit of Vicks vapor rub, and I do remember putting a little bit of Tiger Balm under my eyes as a kid and looking in the mirror and pretending to do a very serious emotional scene and start crying.
Hey,
I still do it to this day. If I'm at home by myself, I'm going around. I'm if there was video cameras in my house, you'd catch me doing all sorts of strange things by myself, walking into a room and pretending I seen a dead body and like breaking down and be like, yeah.
I mean, you're not alone. I mean, the stuff that I get up to, thank God that, you know, there's in this room there's a bit of privacy. The windows are small, but the stuff I get up to as well. I think it's almost like an expectation that I've found anyway through experience, that it's kind of like an expectation that actors are a little bit odd. You know,
Yeah, and it's fun. Like I love just going around and being different characters in the house and then trying all these different accents and different scenarios and stuff. It's great crack. But that story is right that you said about me, because I actually fell down the stairs looking in the mirror when I was a child. I took a step back and fell down the stairs. Yeah.
Oh
So-
my goodness. If there could have been another career choice for either of you, both of you, what would it have been? I think, Chris, you probably mentioned it with the football already. Would it have been football?
Oh, it
or
definitely
looking
would
back?
not have been football.
No?
No, Jesus. I mean, that was just like being a child.
Like if
Oddly enough, I used to always love business in school, which is totally different. I mean, I'd love to do something in the arts, like if it was not acting, but I think usually that question is like, if you couldn't do anything in the arts, is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Like anything
yeah,
creative?
I mean, it doesn't have to be anything within the arts either. Is there anything else
Yeah.
that you kind of go?
Well, I
"God,
like
you know."
writing, like, and I think I'd like to direct at some point. But if I was to go against all of that, I used to actually love business, and like I used to love I used to sell, well, my brother did, and then I started copying him, and we used to sell cans of Cokes and Twixes from our lockers in school, and then we were selling like Lucasades and Powerades and
Awesome.
everything, and then I started selling Power Balance bands, and I loved that stuff. That gave me a buzz when I was younger. But,
That's the hustle in you. I like it.
that's exactly.
Alex, what about you? If there's anything different that you could have done, like acting and the arts aside, is there like, say if you were to leave your career now and go, I'm done with acting, is there anything different that you would do that you feel that really interests you?
Oh, if I was to leave, I'm in too deep now. I don't know what to do now, so I don't know about that. But yeah, I didn't fill out the CAO for my leaving cert because I was still doing the young offenders. I got Thursdays and Fridays off school in 5th year to make the movie, which was nuts. I don't know how they let me do that.
Yeah.
That is. I always thought that was crazy.
We filmed Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays.
Let's not mention the school or anything because it is bonkers.
But if you made the film a year later, I wouldn't have done it because my parents would have just been like, "Well, no, you're not doing that, and you're leaving cert year."
Yeah.
But then leaving cert came around, and I knew at that point then, had the film come out, or I seen a bit of it, and I was like, oh, maybe this is actually something I could do. And there was nothing on the CAO that I wanted to do, and it cost like 60 quid to fill it out, so I just didn't. And that annoyed a few teachers. But I was like, look, if I'm not going to do anything on it, I auditioned for a drama school. If I don't get in, sure, look, I'll go traveling or something.
Yeah.
But
your parents are legends. That's how much faith they had, like, to let you not put anything on the CAO. Colin and Helen.
Yeah,
Legend.
Colin and Helen, we love him. We love him.
So I'm going to do maybe multimedia in something or other. But I always think it's such a shame people, you don't know about the jobs that are out there in filming until you do a bit of filming. Like if I hadn't known about being a boom op or something in the sound department when I was in school, I feel like I would have fell in love with that, and I would have put all my energy into
100%. Remember, whenever we'd be looking for Alex on set, always they'd be like, go over to the sound lads, he's always going to be over there.
Paddy Crowley.
Yeah,
totally. Anytime you were missing, you either like had headphones or a boom in your hand.
Yeah, of that being a job. It's just like, I capture noise for a living. Like, beautiful, man.
I hate to break it to you though, I think a boom up might not have suited you. I mean, I'm sorry.
Very high just of you. A sound mixer then. Sound mixer. Something in the sound,
something in the sound department where you didn't have to be like 6'5" and reaching across the room with it. I'm sorry.
So if I had a note about other jobs, which just seems mad. You don't know until you know, I suppose.
Yeah, but I guess now, like apart from, like, say if you were to leave now, would sound be something that you'd go into?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I shouldn't say that. I don't.
You're not jinxing yourself by saying
the
it.
Sun, the Sun. You come on.
Yeah.
The Sun wants another article out of you, man. Come on. Alex Murphy forced into sound by his mom.
Forced into sound by his stage mom.
Yeah. I don't know what I do. The idea of just living up a mountain off the fat of the land sounds alright, which goes well with this. We start our own commune, Hilary.
That's where you'd find me. That's what I would be doing. I probably would be one of those, organic farmers, or now that I've spoken to Fergal Smith from Moyhill Farm, it would be a regenerative farmer of some sort. Yeah. And I love it. I just love that idea of just completely not isolating myself from the world, but just having my own little bubble, kind of agriculturally and with nature. And
I recently watched Into the Wild. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
It's a bit old now, but I'd never seen it before, and I can just imagine if I was 13, 14-year-old Alex watching this, this has changed my life. This is what I'm doing. I'm moving away from everyone.
Wow.
I'm going away on my own.
I could see that for you. I like that. I always like that idea, and then I go away somewhere or do something by myself for I'm like, this will be great now, and I'm there for a day, and I'm like, fuck, let me ring someone. Do you want to come out here? Really? I can't. I like company.
Solitude really suits me, and it's a funny one because I think, like, Alex, you're similar to me in that, like, I mean, all of us are quite gregarious, outgoing. Find us in a group, no problem, we can hold our own within a group, but solitude is like really it's beautiful. And I notice, Alex, as well, that sometimes on set I know I do the exact same, and I'm sure plenty of people do the exact same. When you get overwhelmed from time to time, you just have to remove yourself and have that bit of solitude.
Oh yeah, because it's just knowing yourself and going, I'm fine, but if I go over here on my own for a bit, I'll be better. So why not do that?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I used to love the honesty between you guys on set as well, whereas like I'd often overhear one saying to the other, "You're really annoying me now."
Yeah, we go, okay, that's fine.
That, all right?
Yeah, like get out of my face. You're really annoying
Speaking
me
of that, actually, that sort of thing, that's something I'd actually would love to do. Something like, I'd love to do psychology or something like that. That's something I think I would have really enjoyed. Like,
I think psychology really lends itself to acting as well.
oh, 100%. I think so. Yeah. Yeah.
Because
But
like
that.
if you're diving deep into the characters and finding out what they do and why they do it, like that's psychology right there. Like I found myself like actually when I dive really deep into characters, I found myself reading psychology books. You know,
Yeah.
it's just
Well,
brilliant.
for sure. I think that's what makes a good actor is empathy and the ability to read people. So that's why I think a lot of the best actors are also super emotional and sensitive, because they're not only kind of carrying what you feel and stuff, but you're also, sometimes I find if someone comes into a room and I'm like, oh geez, are you okay? Like you can feel they're upset straight away, or you can feel something, and then you kind of, but yeah, I find that all that very, very
We're essential
interesting.
workers, really. The world needs.
Exactly. Yeah.
You
yeah,
what,
yeah.
Alex? I missed
We're
that.
essential workers. We need.
Yeah, empaths are essential workers, 100%. I agree, Chris. I think it's like, yeah, you can feel energy, and like you said, most actors feel energy very, very, very strongly, whether they're aware of it or not. And sometimes you can take on someone else's energy, or even walking away off set for the day. There's been a lot of people's energy all around you, and it can feel like I used to have to do like an energy clearing every day that I got home from the young offenders in particular, because it was such a hectic set, and I was particularly tired at that time because I just had a baby. So for me, I was really super sensitive to everything. You know what I mean? Is there any practices that you would have leaving set that you kind of do, or you consciously do that, or do you just shirk it off, or are there any little rituals that you have that you want to shake off energy and kind of come back to yourself a little bit?
I didn't when we were doing the young offenders, and maybe it would have been good to have that, because it was mad how long we were filming. We filmed, was it 19 weeks we filmed for?
80 days exactly. Yeah.
And yeah, it was chaotic, and but when you finish filming, and especially because anytime when we're there, like we were the leads of the show, and there's a weird pressure on like, well, if I always remember listening to a podcast with Daniel Radcliffe, and I just finished watching all 8 Harry Potters. They're very good. And he was just saying at such an early age, he was an actual child going like, this day depends on how I'm feeling. I can make everyone have a horrible day today if I wanted to. And he was just like,
that's a fucking profound
like,
thought for a
I'm
child.
like, yeah, I'm like, he's like 12 years old, and he, like, what right have I to be an asshole today? Because I know I'm Harry Potter, but if I'm just nice, everyone will get their job done easier, and we can all chill out.
That's a very Harry Potter moralistic code. It's like he could have gone the Voldemort way and ruined everyone's day.
I think so.
It's kind of sad though for a 12-year-old to have to bear that kind of pressure as well. Like,
yeah.
Do you feel? I always felt a sense of, particularly towards you guys and to Jen and Demi as well, of trying to protect you somewhat because you were a little bit younger. Like, do you feel like there's an adequate, I suppose, emotional protection within the industry for young actors starting out? Or on set,
because it's everyone's totally different, you know what I mean? I think it's the same thing can even be said for adults, you know, that everyone's personalities and what people are upset by, or what people are just totally different, you know. So I think probably when kids are that young with Harry Potter and stuff like that, but I do think when we were, I don't know, like I quite liked the way it was, like particularly in the film, we because there was such a minimal crew, and because we kind of felt like I felt like such a responsibility, but in a good way, a way that made me like, I'm not being babied for the first time. I'm being treated like an adult, and I'm
start to us, Chris. Like,
yeah, it was class and it was great, and you felt like, oh, we're the leads in this now, and we feel like adults, and we're not being babied.
Mm.
Whereas I suppose if we had gone into a bigger machine at the start, it might have been a bit different. But yeah, with the film and it being so low budget and all having to kind of rally together and stuff, that was kind of the perfect introduction really into the industry.
I suppose it felt like, and this was something that Peter always kind of said consciously, was that it kind of gives people ownership of it. You know, he was always conscious that it was a team effort. So like by giving you guys responsibility as like young men, it gave you ownership of it almost, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Definitely, yeah.
So you felt that was a beneficial thing to you, like looking back?
100%, yeah, for sure. Yeah. I hadn't really kind of thought about it in that way now till we said it, but yeah.
People are still, when I say to people, and I shock myself of like how we made that film, like the being on a few different film sets now since then.
Yeah.
It's just like, I remember when I was doing conversations with friends up in Belfast, I was talking to Lenny about the film, and he was just, he's like, wait, Peter was the director, and there was no ADs, and Paddy Jordan was the cameraman. There was no focus puller, so there's just Paddy with this big camera, and Peter just.
I saw Paddy actually. I saw Paddy on the weekend actually over in London, and
no way.
I literally said that to him. I was like, "You were fucking focus pulling everything yourself, and like operating and doing everything." He was like, "Yeah," and then
Jonathan Hughes was makeup, costume. I'm sure he's lighting his
script. Continuity,
yeah.
And then fucking Danny was mixing and boom mopping all at the same time,
and rolling bags.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy. Like knowing what you know now, isn't it crazy when you look back at like I suppose, the success of the film with what it was pure blind faith, by the way. You know, it was pure blind faith on our end. It was just like, okay, like let's just like I had faith in Peter that was his vision.
Has enough years passed that I can ask you about the loan?
What loan?
I heard did Peter take out a loan to get a car and then just make the film with it?
Oh yeah, like it was part of it was a credit union loan. Yeah, I think. But like we just took credit union loans out for everything. Like, you know, even for our first mortgage, it was like we can't afford a mortgage. Let's just try and get a like partial credit union loan. And don't tell them that it's for a house because they'd never give it to you. You know what I mean? There's stuff like that. Yeah, I'm pretty sure there was a credit union loan in there that was like, yes, we are buying a car, and it was probably gone into the young offenders. Yeah,
instead we threw a brick through the car. Did we broke two of Peter's windows, or was that a different car?
Just one, I think, in the end. No.
Yeah, no, that was the silver Audi that was in the film. That was our car.
I got bullseye.
But then in the series, Chris, did you do it again with his car, or maybe?
No, that wouldn't have been his car.
Peter was doing. Yeah, you were doing better by then.
Was there a window broken in that? No, didn't a fella break a window to get the dice in that was an episode, wasn't it? He threw something through.
Oh. No, you threw the rock in, Chris, and then you saw the teddy bear.
That's the film.
That's the film.
And then in the series, you're right. Someone throws something through the windscreen to get the dice. Remember, he's trying to draw up the car.
Yeah,
and it's a flashback. Yeah,
that would have been a prop car, definitely.
Yeah,
definitely.
No, I stick to your roots. He likes breaking his own cars.
He does.
It's his thing.
And you know what? He did it
trivia.
He did it last summer in his own car. Yeah, we not in the film.
What do you mean, Peter? Someone else?
He broke into his own car again last summer. He locked his keys in his car, and then like we were up the side of a mountain. It's ridiculous. We had all the kids. It was down in Kerry. We were up the side of a mountain. We'd go for a hike, and then like turned around. Peter's like, "Where are my keys?" Oh, they're in the car, and the car self-locked. Yeah. So then we actually
classic Peter. He definitely just threw them in and shut the door and went, "Whoopsie, where's the biggest rock?"
I'm gonna have to send it on to you. No, we got managed to find this like 2x4 massive like would have been like a fence post, and it's kind of impressive. I was like, that's hot. So I'll send it on to you. I was like, Peter, really?
So maybe you threw the keys in the car.
Breaking windows, and you get off and watching him breaking windows.
Yeah. It's just a weird dynamic.
Oh, and I threw. Remember, we were filming in the car like scrapyard, and I got to throw rocks through windows.
Yeah. But that wasn't even on camera. That was just for the crack.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, that was our base for the day. And this guy was like, "Do you want to throw some rocks through some windows there?" We're like, "Okay."
All I remember is Chris is here. It was a really hot day. All I remember is hearing Chris shouting in the background, "I'm so angry because I'm so dehydrated." He was like throwing rocks through windows. Speaking of, okay, so like, I mean, I know we're talking about young offenders quite a bit, and why not? Because this is a nice conversation that I think actually all of these conversations we've only ever done for other people, so we can say what we want now that it's kind of just the three of us and the young offenders. What has been, and I'm trying to remember this myself, like any hilarious moments that you look back at and gone, that was absolutely ridiculous, either on screen or off screen? This is a safe space you can share now.
The episode in the school where we get naked in the library.
Oh my god!
And
yeah.
It was Tom Marshall was directing that one.
Yes.
And he mentioned, okay, it's time to do the scene where the lads are naked. Bring them around the corner there and
do an impression of Tom though. Come on, he didn't talk like that. Go on.
Make them go around the corner there.
It's pretty good.
But a modesty pouch is what is referred to for the pouch
story.
where you hide your
genitalia.
But another term you might use is a cocksock. So he said, get the lads their cocksock there and get ready for the scene. And somebody heard the word cocksock, and I'd never heard that before. So me and Chris found ourselves around some sort of, I don't know.
Oh my god! Yeah.
We were around a corner with socks and rubber band, like genuine socks that you wear on your feet.
And we were like saying it. We were like, I don't think this is
right. And we were there trying to put everything into these socks with rubber bands, and we came out with just socks.
And he was like,
and we were like, I don't think that's right, but we'll go and ask Tom. And we were in a corner, and Tom's like, what are you doing? I didn't mean put socks on their cocks.
But like as if like Conor and Jock actually wear socks around their cock, like, do you know what I mean? Because you would have seen them like as they just wear that under their underwear.
Oh my goodness!
It was
a miscommunication
real
with costume.
Where we all just went, wait. First of all, Chris, why did we allow that to happen? We didn't. At no point we went, no, I'm not doing that.
There was a bit of questioning of it. All right.
Oh my goodness. That scene was my first day back on set. And that was my first scene back on set. So he had been filming like a week prior to that. So it was like, okay, Hilary, let's everybody in. And we're going to just block through the scene and walk through it. And I went, okay. And then it was the first time I had met you on set because you were filming, we had rehearsed the week before. And obviously when you come into a scene, you greet who you're going to be working with in the scene. And I walked in and I was like, hi guys, how's it going? And I was about to give you a hug and I was just like, this is too, because you were like completely starkers. I was just like, we'll do the hugs later. This is
with a room full of extras as well.
And I so felt free. Like I thought it was so brave. Like hats off to both of you. Like young men.
Yeah, we enjoyed it. It was quite funny.
It was brilliant. I mean, it was a brilliant scene. But I wonder how it would have been so different if it was, obviously it wouldn't have been written as two girls because it just wouldn't have been as funny. But, it was really brave for both of you to have done that.
I think there's a lot of things like that where like I'm just like so lucky to have Chris there or to have that character there to just anything that one of us had to do. Usually we both had to do.
Yeah.
So that was the case for a lot of it. Like even jumping off the shaky bridge, I think I was just a bit more nervous than Chris. I was like, well, Chris did it, so let's go.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, you were totally each other's backup the whole time.
From the get-go, I mean, it's not like Chris made a film before me. Like, so everything we were doing was the first time, which was nice.
Yeah, it's amazing. Okay, so if you were to choose only stage or only screen for the rest of your working lives, which one would you choose? Alex, to you first.
It is a tough one because there's so many different factors. I feel like if you were fortunate enough to be working loads on screen, you could be traveling the world with that, and and it's kind of it changes up a lot, and there's no getting around. You get paid more,
yeah.
But I do love stage. I've just been doing a good bit of stage now the past year and a bit somehow, even with COVID. And there's something about it that I just really enjoy. I think it's just a bit harder for me. It's just a bit there's a bit more to kind of, you really, if it's a big theater, you know, there's nearly 1,000 people there. Wait, no, I haven't. How big's the Gaiety? That might have been too big a number. I don't know. But you're not just having a chat with someone and you can be as quiet as you want. There's lots of things to take into account. And that's good fun. But at the same time, love filming. So
Yeah.
Young offenders for the rest of our lives. We're 85.
Chris, what about you? Stage or screen, if you could only choose one for the rest of your career?
Oh, I do think that's an impossible question because it kind of one. Well, I mean, I've been doing loads more screen for the last few years, but I desperately, I think next year, want to go and do a play. You know, I think as soon as you do one for too long, you want to do the other. Like,
Yeah.
I remember when I was doing Lieutenant for 3 months, I was like, I can't wait to be on screen. And then after I'm doing this, I'm like, I can't wait to try and get back and do some theatre. But I do think that you definitely sharpen your tools more doing theatre than, you know what I mean? I think there's a reason why, like, most of the greats have cut their teeth in theatre. Like Gary Oldman did theatre for the first fucking 5, 6, 7 years of his career or whatever before he went off and did Sid and Nancy. You know, I think it kind of it gives you deeper everything. You know, you have more of a well of things to access by doing that, because it forces you into positions that you just can't put yourself in on screen, and you have to get yourself out of situations. And I don't know, but I do love my first love, and why I fell in love with acting and everything was watching films. Like, that's what made me want to become an actor. And I do love going to the cinema, and you know, I love going to the theater, but I feel sometimes there's a lot of theatre that's not good as well.
Yeah.
And you know, it's a lot. It's most of the time when you go to the cinema, I feel like you're most likely, because you're gonna kind of come out more satisfied, because the theatre sometimes can be, for me, I always take something from it, but very, very good theatre sometimes is tough to come by.
I actually unfortunately agree with that, in the sense that I think there's so many moving parts in theatre, and unless you have an amazing cast with a bigger budget, like, you know what I mean? Of course, there are like smaller theatre where you just hit on something that's incredible. But it feels like you're going to get, like, more often than not, not slightly better quality, I'm going to call it a lot better quality in the cinema than you're going to get on stage. And so it feels like, as an actor, that's the area that I want to be working in more, you know what I mean, just on a personal level. So that is, but I do agree that you do sharpen a lot in live performance. I felt like I sharpened a lot of my skills through improvisation, actually, which again is kind of live performance. I did it slightly differently. Like, I did improv on camera for years, for years and years, which was really, really tough. And I think that's what really shaped me, in a sense. I didn't necessarily come through, I did do theatre, but I didn't necessarily come through that traditional theatre background. I always do things arseways anyway, you know.
Would you ever like to go back? Would you ever like to do some more hidden camera stuff? Because I've been watching a bit of it recently again. Oh, it's so funny. Like, between that and the naked camera with PJ, just
PJ's
some gold.
So
like,
good
for the first few times, is it terrifying the first few times you do it, and then you're just more excited to go into this place as the nun and shop for dildos?
It's terrifying. It was, I know, so outrageous. I don't know if we can get away with that these days. I mean, that wasn't that long ago. I just feel like there's a whole woke culture that would be outraged by the stuff we did on hidden camera.
I know, the nuns are grand.
The nuns are grand. It was always terrifying. Like, I did 4 seasons of it, and I found every season there was something new that was terrifying in it, because you have to remember, like, there's a certain level of protection that you get on stage and on screen, meaning that everybody involved in the production knows that they're in the production and they're all playing their role. If you're in a scene with another person, more often than not, that person is going to be an actor who's playing a character who's learned their lines, and you know you've got a scene together. But in improvisation, particularly with hidden camera, you're in a scene
scene with somebody who doesn't even know they're on camera, who doesn't even know that they're in a scene. And so you're not only trying to shape the scene, remember your character, but you're trying to get them to be in the scene with you, and you're trying to get them to say and do things because we did have a script essentially, and we did have a potential outcome of what we wanted. So
that's so funny. I didn't know that.
Yes.
Of course, but yeah.
And I would have had a lot of kind of stuff prepped, but then you have to roll with whatever they're saying. I'd have to come back as. So I very deeply learned my characters as well, because I was in them for 8 hours a day on the street with nobody around them. People just thought I was an absolute nutter, because they believed I was the character, as I should do, because there was no cameras, there was nothing around you. You're just walking down the street trying to.
And how often did you actually get the desired outcome?
We always used to aim for, like, if we did like a 9-hour shooting day or an 8-hour shooting day, we always aimed for about 2 to 3 minutes of content. So maybe out of 10, you might get 1.
Wow. Okay.
So the failure rate was quite high. So
what, people would just be like shunning you off and sorry.
What was the question? Sorry.
Would it be people just like catching on that it's or just wasn't good enough or wasn't funny? Like
all of the above. So it would have been like, okay, someone spotted a camera, and then halfway along they'd be like, this is a lot of, this is a hidden camera show or whatever. Or sometimes the reaction would just be like, meh. So you're like, okay, there's no gag there. Or sometimes the reaction would have been really explosive or aggressive, and you had to go, this is
just a joke.
This is just a show, a hidden camera. Or then sometimes you might get one that's this was the killer. You get one that was absolutely amazing, and I mean amazing, and then they wouldn't sign a release form.
Oh no.
Yeah.
It's funny. That just means that, Alex, that you're a prime candidate to get caught on these shows, because when we were filming Young Offenders, and then at the exact same time, Julie Ryan, who produced the film, was also working on old timers, is it called?
Senior moments.
Senior moments. So I was walking around getting, like, I wasn't needing a scene. I was going around getting a coffee, and then I saw that they were filming. Actually, they tried to get me, but I saw Maggie by accident. My friend that was working on it gave up the by accident, basically came up and said hello, and they were like, "Oh, we were going to get him." So then I was like, "Let me go back and get Alex," and I got
you
Alex.
rang me or something. You were like, "Come here," and I knew you were being weird, but sometimes you're just a bit weird, so I didn't think.
and Alex comes along then, and I'm like hiding in a cafe, and the old man went up to him, and he got you bad. It was so good.
It's so lucky. I mean, I just wouldn't have, I guess. Yeah, I'm lucky I was nice to him. Cause Because he was just like, can you show me where the Shandon bells are? And I was like, yeah, just go around that corner and look up, and you should see the bells. He's like, slow down, I can't understand you. And I'm like, yeah, just around the corner. And he's like, where are you? You're not speaking English. Would you speak English? And he was really annoying me. I was like, you. Well, I didn't.
You're so patient. It was because he was older. If that was a younger person, you wouldn't have.
No.
I forgot that you got caught on one. Yeah. It's like, it's interesting as well. Again, Chris, when you talk about the psychology of characters, like that, for me, playing those roles for like nearly 4 years really honed in kind of how I don't want to say judge people, but how I would approach people, or how I would know if somebody was open enough to engage with, or somebody was closed, or, having a bad day. And obviously that's kind of stuff can be fairly evident and obvious, but then you just know from looking at people, are they open? Can you engage with them? Will they engage with you? Or you get to read people very, very fast. It was really interesting.
Peter was good with that at the very beginning, when we were.
And then got terrible, is it?
Yeah, at the beginning he fell off the horse a bit. When we were making the film and we were rehearsing lots, which was great. Just another thing I didn't know was not normal. I just thought we'd be rehearsing for every job you do, and. We were in our costumes and we just got the haircut, and he sent us into town to buy more costumes, but he wanted us to be Conor and Jock, so no one knew who Conor and Jock was at that point. And that was just something that I wouldn't necessarily do for parts to this day, but it's good to know that's how much detail you should have in your character, because like we could just play those characters in our sleep now, and we knew who they were so well, and it's good to have that baseline as your first kind of screen job to go, yeah, you should each part you get, you should know who they are to this degree.
And that's, I think, where improvisation comes in, is that if you know your character at a very, very deep level, you'll know exactly what they'll say or do in every single moment. You won't have to second guess
it. Gives you such freedom, like, and just the stupid stuff we'll be getting up to, or just you're not afraid to say anything because I know this is what Conor would say.
Yeah,
you know?
And it was
like,
also amazing
Alex,
that
I don't need to be embarrassed here now. It's grand.
It was also amazing that, like, and you know, if we were doing a job now and someone asked us to do that, like, we would still do it and we'd love to do it, but we were so young at that age that it was like we didn't drop when we went off to go get those costumes. We didn't drop character. Like, we were so obedient and we worked so hard because we were like, this is our shot. Like, and we're young now and we're like, and we were there was kind of still like
and it's
an
Peter
atmosphere
as well.
of like a teacher or like a, you know what I mean? I know it was with Peter, but it was still like if we get out of these characters now, we'll get in trouble or he'll know or something. You know what I mean? Like we were like very much obedient.
Or we had to find interviews with, because like our Cork accents aren't the same ones from the show, so Peter would get us to write out phonetically all these interviews from people with proper Cork accents. And you best believe we did it. Like, we were writing A4 pages of phonetical.
Love it. Love it.
Just to impress our headmaster.
He used to try and get me to do the same, and I'd be like, yeah, sure.
Yeah. And it showed, Hilary, that you didn't, and we did.
Well, you guys, who got the IFTA again? I didn't get it in the end. You know?
I had to go up and pick up Chris's IFTA. He was like, the winner is Chris. And I was like, oh, he's not here. I have to go get
And you told me that loads of your kind of way you did it was kind of like people thought you were serious.
People in the front row, because I went up and I was just like, oh, I'm full of pride, joy, and an overwhelming sense of hatred towards my buddy Chris. Well done, I guess. And people just people thought I was serious, and they were really disappointed in me. Like, I'm joking, shut up.
Oh my God. I loved that you went and did that. I thought it was brilliant. I thought it was really brilliant. I was just, fuming in the corner when I didn't get mine. And they come over with the cameras in your face as well, because they know that it's like.
Remember Pascal came to one of the IFTAs, and he was snapping. Pascal played the old farmer in the film, and anytime we didn't win, because we were nominated for a few different awards, it's fucking bullshit. They should have fucking won.
Pascal, shush.
Why? It's rigged.
Oh, I love it. Here's a question for you, Alex. What is the favorite what would be your favorite character that Chris has played, and why?
Oh.
I keep going to you first. Sorry, Chris. I should, Chris, I'll go to you first on this one. I'll go to you first, and I'll give Alex a break. Chris, what is Alex's favorite character that he? No, I'm not getting this wrong. What is your favorite character that Alex has played, and why?
Well, I saw Alex not too long ago in Philadelphia. Here I Come, and he played Gar Private, and it was honestly one of the most amazing theatre performances I've seen. He was exceptional, very, very good. And for anyone who missed it, you missed out on a good one. He was exceptional.
Here.
And amazing. So I would probably say, I would probably say that.
Yeah, here. Thought you were amazing as well.
That was I loved that job so much, between everyone and Jeff, the director, Jeff Gould. He was just so good, and it was such a short run, and it was only on in Cork.
Yeah,
that'll be one I'd like to do again.
Pick it up again. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, that was good. Especially
he also had a character in Dubliners, the play I saw him in recently. You know, the one that I love. What scene was it?
I think this character came about. It derived from the guy in the film who was like, "There's only 2 foot of water there."
That's it. Yeah.
You'll break your legs if you jump in there.
That makes sense. The origin story.
That's where it came from.
So I like that. fella as well, but that's only a little character in a big play. But it made me happy.
I go for a play as well. Your Davy Clavin in Lieutenant was so funny because I've just been following Chris's footsteps, except a couple of years behind for the past few years. We do the Young Offenders, then you got into drama school, then I got into drama school. You played Davy in Lieutenant.
Yeah.
The next year, I played Davy in Lieutenant.
That was
in a
so
different
bizarre.
production.
When you look back at that, wasn't that bizarre?
That was funny. Yeah, that
It
was very
nuts.
funny.
But they're two very different Davies.
Yeah,
I like
both
them.
brilliant. I've seen them both.
Yours
and
was
both
a lot taller.
Yes. A choice I made, actually.
Yeah.
I started that journey when I was 13, hitting puberty. I was like, I want him to be
you were
play a
my
tall
height
Davy.
once.
I wonder what age that was. Yeah.
I remember,
Yeah.
Chris, you coming back after one season. I think had we done the film and come back to do the series? I can't remember which one it was, but I hadn't seen you in maybe a summer, and I was like, wait a second, it was like you'd grown about 2 inches, and I remember looking down at your pants, and I was like,
had a big summer.
looking down at your pants, and your pants were like had gone that short.
So like that probably did happen. That did happen. But I think a lot of tall people would probably relate to this, that when you don't see someone for a while, they go, Jesus, you grew. I still get it now when I go and see people. They still tell me that I'm growing. And I was like, if I'm growing at the rate people think I'm growing, I should be about 8 foot by now. I'm like, people just forget that I'm tall. And then I see them and they're like, Jesus, you shot up again. And I'm like, I'm 27 now. Like, I'm pretty sure I stopped growing there about 5 years ago. But no, you are right. I think when we came back to do season 1,
yeah, definitely,
after
because I'm
doing
tall.
the thing, I would have gotten a lot taller.
Because I'm tall, so it's not like it's ever a shocker to me.
Yeah.
I actually in all the promo photos, if anyone's looking back through any promo photos at any stage, I always stand next to Chris because he makes me feel like a normal height. No, that's not reflection of you, Alex. I know you're rolling your eyes at me.
No.
It's not that. It's because as Ross Brown, the comedian, always says, I'm the tallest woman in Ireland. That's the way he calls me. So like I'm a little bit extra tall, so I stand.
I was very happy the day I met Cillian Murphy. 'Cause I was like, you're doing all right. You're only a bit taller than me.
Yeah. You never know on screen. There's always like more petite people can give off tall vibes on screen. You know, Jessica Chastain, the actress. Yeah. I'm a fan of hers. I think she's amazing. I always thought she was really tall. She gives off these tall vibes.
Yeah,
she's not. She's quite petite.
Yeah, she does give off tall vibes. I had someone say to me recently that I met, being like, Jesus, now I thought you'd be taller. And I was like, what?
You're like,
people say to me,
you're like 6'4". How much taller do you want me to be? Like,
people say to me, you look like a tall person, but you're just not.
There you go.
That's a compliment, though. Anytime anyone watches you on screen and thinks you have a big
look
presence.
tall.
That's tall vibes,
Except for your height.
It's your presence.
Yeah. I'll take that.
Do you think that when you finish up a play, that you take away a piece of the character with you? Do you think it stays with you? Do you think it's embedded in you, or is it a vice versa thing, that when you go into the character, a little piece of the character goes in, or a piece of you goes into the character?
I'd say probably more so that I don't think I'm one to take characters home. I think I'm
probably
do
for a few weeks, maybe. Like, you might act a little bit. I don't know. I probably do anyway.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like I'm good. I'm pretty good at just dropping it, kind of going, that's it. That's that done now.
Yeah, but then you think about when we were living in the Kingsley and filming Young Offenders, like, we were acting like mischievous children a lot of the times, like the stuff we were getting up to, like.
That's just because we were.
Yeah.
But
no, I'd agree. I think you probably put a bit more of yourself into it, but then after, maybe don't take it away for too long.
Yeah.
Do you think it's a conscious thing that you have to drop it?
Not really. No. Still stealing bikes around too. Listen, lads, I can't drop it. It's a problem.
I always have this little daydream, a little ridiculous daydream, that the characters go on living without you, and they go on living in this alternate universe you know, and the whole thing, and like, so me as Hilary, the actor, just pops into this little pocket of another reality for that period of time that the production is on and the world is working and the character is in it, and then Hilary pops back out, but that just keeps going in an alternative universe. That's little
quite cool.
Yeah, that's my little thing.
That's
It's
why
like
I've
a
always said
little
that
fractal that you pop into, you know.
That's why I've always said, and I'd love to do the Young Offenders, another film in like 5 years.
Yeah, like a catch
and then
up
we
on
pop
their
back
lives.
into their lives, and then like
how about
Star
this?
is like going to be like a 7 or 8-year-old child. No, more. She'll be like 10.
Why don't we do another kind of hidden camera show kind of thing? And because America, as some people might know about the Young Offenders in America, it's not a huge deal over there. Why don't we go over as Conor and Jock and Mairead and do like
It would
trying
be
to
like
get by on Route 66.
Sacha Baron Cohen.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It would
Yeah.
it would be a form of Borat.
Yeah, nice.
This really sounds like this is your alternate career, is a hidden camera performer. That sounds like what you should have answered earlier. You seem very passionate about doing this.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
getting into
I-
these reruns.
You could do a character that like is a boom op, and he keeps showing up on sets.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you ever
sometimes I
watch
think,
Nathan
like,
for
with-
You?
It's so funny.
It's the greatest show ever. Oh, you used to watch that. It's the greatest.
Never seen
I would actually say it's the greatest like sort of. It's like a hidden camera entrepreneurial whatever, but it's just pure genius.
Nathan Few. No, I haven't. No, right,
Yeah.
no.
It's Nathan Fielder. You'd know him. It's very funny. Anyway,
Nathan Fielder. Okay.
The one
I'd
I
recommend
watched
to all the
recently,
listeners.
I watched yesterday of PJ and the hidden camera show. He was standing outside by the Spire in Dublin, and he was selling knitting needles, but he was calling them just like merchandise.
yeah.
And that
What character is he when he's doing that?
It's Jake Stevens.
Jake
and
Stevens.
it's-
Stevens
Yeah.
is amazing.
Jake
Nice.
Stevens.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's so funny.
He's
Yeah,
so good at it. We like when we did the hidden camera show, we used to watch reruns of Naked Camera.
yeah.
Like, and that's actually how we got PJ in the film, because it was a weird thing at the time when we were living in Dublin. We were renting. We ended up living with the only other people renting and living in their house, the only other people who were making another hidden camera show in Ireland at the time, and they had made the Naked Camera and all that, and they were writing material for PJ. So like it was bizarre. It was like two hidden camera show crew essentially living in the same house. They were doing theirs in the UK and we were doing ours in Ireland, and we come back together and go, how'd your sketch go, la la la. But anyway, in the end we ended up kind of getting in touch with PJ and going, you know, how do we improve our show essentially? And he sat with us,
Get
and he
me on
was
board.
yeah, he was so generous. He was like, just this is how you do da, 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 da. And then in the end, when we went to do the Young Offenders, because we had the connection with PJ, we were like, right, let's get in touch with him and see if he'll play that character. So that's how that panned out.
His passion now just seems to be radio. He genuinely just seems to love radio.
He's really good
I
at
remember
it as
talking
well.
about like stand up, and I was like, "Oh, when are you doing stand up again?" He's like, "I don't really like it." It's like, "Oh."
He used to say that for years. He never
Yeah.
really liked it. I remember doing
He's
a
such a
stand up.
brilliant actor as well.
He is
Like,
brilliant.
yeah.
Yeah. He should do actually more film and TV, definitely. But I remember doing a stand-up show with him years and years ago, tiny little one for charity, and he'd be like, I'd be like, oh my god, I'd be really nervous going, I don't know what I'm going to go on and say or do, or I don't know even what I was doing on it. And he was just like, I'm just going to go on and talk about something. And I
Yeah.
was like,
But then he had that whole documentary about his stage fright and stuff. So
Stage
there's obviously
fright, yeah.
something going on. What a
he's
weird
brilliant.
guy.
Yeah. This goes back to like my little fragments of reality. I wrote this question. I was like, this is going to sound really weird, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Have you ever, I'm going to read it verbatim. Have you ever had a moment on stage or screen that felt so real it could have been your reality? I was writing that at midnight, by the way.
Yeah, and half in a dream, half what you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think those are the moments that you chase, and it definitely happens. Like, but it's so fleeting and it's so whatever. You start thinking, and as soon as it's like, do you know when you're trying to fall asleep at night and you're having like a really restless night and you can't fall asleep, and then you catch yourself for a moment going, oh geez, I'm falling asleep, and then you're not falling asleep anymore.
Yeah.
It's like that for me. I'm like, and I'm in it, and I go like, oh Jesus, I actually thought I was, and it's gone. But
That's so
it's
interesting.
amazing when it happens.
because they're the theta brainwaves that you're talking about.
Nope.
Oh,
So when you're falling asleep, as you fall asleep and as you wake up, there's that little time in between. You know, there's sometimes you kind of go,
was I
something-
asleep?
yeah, or something's
Yeah.
playing out in your head, and you're kind of like, is that real
You
or
do
not?
that
Or
fall.
or you could wake up
Oh
laughing.
yeah,
or
yeah.
they're the theta brainwaves, and that's the segment of your brain where kind of anything can happen. And they say that the theta brainwaves are the place you want to be, say, when you're meditating, because you can actually, if you can lucid dream, then you can control that portion of the energy, and you can control those brainwaves, and you can create anything from that moment. And it's also
Wow,
considered,
that's so interesting.
it's considered a state of flow. So there's no
Ah.
blockages within those moments. And that's, I believe, what you're talking about when you are on screen or on stage and you're in that moment, that state of flow, and there's no blockages. So therefore it could be your reality, and anything can happen in that moment, and you feel very grounded and very centered in that moment.
Yeah.
You know?
That's so cool. Okay, I'm gonna have that. I'm gonna look more into these theta brainwaves.
Theta
That seems
brainwaves.
like that's very cool. Okay.
So if you were to say, for example, if you have people who do like a lot of shamans or healers, when they switch into magic, we'll call it, that's a theta brainwave they're switching into. And it's an intuitive brainwave as well. So it's like if you were a clairvoyant or a channeler or one of those things, that's the brainwave where you switch into. And people can do it naturally, or they can do it via, I wouldn't want to say a set of instructions, but training or practice. When you switch into that brainwave, you might get like, I don't know, if you were like an intuitive, you might get like ancestors talking to you or whatever it might be. It's the same type of brainwave. It's complete inflow with no blockage. There you go.
I like it.
I like this
I'll take
a
one.
lot.
I like it.
And you can control elements within those brainwaves if you can be lucid within them.
Okay.
There you are.
Thank you.
Cool.
Sure, I love
I'm
it.
gonna read more about this.
I have to bring this up just because clairvoyant.
Oh yeah. Oh.
It was during the film, and it was Danny
This was
Crowley
gonna
was
be my
doing.
story earlier from a funny story.
Danny
This is gonna
Crowley
be
was
it.
doing the sound mixing and boom op, and there was a lot. I think there was a lot more improv on the film maybe than the series, but so there'd be one boom trying to get the two of our voices in this scene on a bridge somewhere in West Cork, and Peter was like, "Yeah, Danny, you need to kind of get Alex's line, and then you need to get Chris's line, and kind of go back and forth," which was just it's improv. So he was like, "I don't know who's going to speak." And at one point, he's like, "All right, well, I'm not a clairvoyant," and Peter was like, "Yeah, fair enough." And I remember going to Chris, "Who's clairvoyant?"
He thought
I'd
that she
never
was
heard
some
of
woman with
clairvoyant.
like 8 arms
Yeah, I
that
thought
could
clairvoyant
like
was a woman with 4 arms.
4 arms, so she could capture everything at once.
Oh,
Who's
clairvoyant.
clairvoyant? Yeah, I learned a lot on that job. I also learned Paddy Jordan would go, "Oh, how's tricks?" And that's what he kind of
yeah.
say every morning. And I just go to Chris again at one point, weeks in, I go, "Who's tricks?"
It was tricks. That's so funny you're saying this. I literally spoke to Paddy about that the other day, and I told you I saw Danny when I was filming there last week in Cork, and I was telling him about the clairvoyant story. He was cracking up.
Oh my god, how's Tricks? I'd be like, is it your dog?
Trixie. And then Trixie
And then
became, there was
Trixie.
a blow up doll in Jock's room, and that
Yeah.
became Trixie.
Trixie was a lady of the night eventually.
Oh,
Yeah.
Tricks, how you doing?
Oh,
Yeah.
I love it. Turning tricks. Looking back, guys, is there anything you would have done differently so far on this journey as regards like your career? I'm sure there's plenty of things personally you may have done differently, but
I don't think so. I mean, it's like we're so fortunate to have such a great start to our career, in every sense of like the film being so small where it didn't feel like a big machine and we were being chewed up and spit out. We were very much a part of making the film, and then we were upgraded to season 1 where there was a bit more money injected into the show, and we learned about other people that were needed on set, and we were like, "Oh, this is cool." And then 2 and 3 again was a bit bigger, And it was kind of just like nice training wheels to kind of go off now and do other jobs, because it's definitely come in handy. I think I thought every other film job would be the same, and it's not. I mean, there's similarities, but you really have to kind of find your feet, because like there were such good roles for us. Conor and Jock are just such a joy, and not every part will be like that, or some parts might be a lot smaller, or but it's just knowing how to deal with that and take what you've learned from the young offenders onto other jobs.
It's funny you bring it up, because I remember saying to you, I think I probably said to you several times, I'm sure you were absolutely sick of me saying it, but I used to always say to you, not every job's like this. Not every job's like this.
Yeah.
This is a kind of and I didn't want to be bigging it up because it came with its own pressures, but I was like, not every job's like this. This is a bit
definitely.
Of,
young Alex was definitely like, all right, Hilary, all right.
Yeah.
But looking back at it, looking back, it's like, yeah, no, you're dead right. Not every job is as amazing as that. Or you might think, oh, I'm filming something else. It's short enough. It's only 3 months filming, because we were used to just so long for the young offenders that not every job will be that long either.
Yeah. Chris, anything you would have done differently looking back?
Again, I don't think so either. Well, I think it's probably quite a dangerous path to go down if you are starting to think that there is, because you know everything you do is going to have a knock-on effect. So if you think you'd have changed something, then you don't know if that would have happened then what subsequently happened that you did enjoy doing. You know, I just saw a film recently called Everything Everywhere All at Once. I don't know if you've seen it, but a lot of the film is about decisions you make, and then it's like the butterfly effect. What happens then if you had done something different? Would you ever have met this person, or would you ever have gone on and done this job, or would you ended up in? See, I mean, you never know what would have happened. So I think I'm quite happy and satisfied with where I'm at the moment. So I think if I change anything, God only knows what would have happened. Would I have been better off? Would I have been worse off? I don't know. Yeah. So I think everything for a reason, and what's for you won't pass you.
Absolutely. So, it's very Buddhist to be
but
in that moment and let it flow. Yeah. It's kind of the nature of an actor and an actor's career as well, because you don't really have much control.
You don't. So if you like to think, if you start to go down that route, I think it's quite a dangerous way of thinking to go down, because then you'll start to question everything and second guess everything, and then you're fucked.
Yeah, and as well, I think if you're trying to control outcomes, like that comes with an expectation, and expectation inevitably comes with a disappointment. Not necessarily that it always goes that way, but that's the way it can go. Like I've had to learn that over the past number of years in every area of my life, and like I'm a lot older than you guys, so I'm only coming to it now. So I always see you guys as quite zen in that respect, or at least that's the appearance that I get from you, is that like you're like, oh, I'll just go with the flow a little bit, you know, which is brilliant. And I think it's really, really, really brilliant for any young actors out there. Do you have any snippets? I know there's a million bits of advice, or maybe there's no advice, but are there any little snippets of wisdom that you feel you could impart to anyone listening?
I always feel like such a fraud if I ever give advice.
Yeah, my advice is often, especially for people going for drama school and stuff like that, is literally that is no advice, because I used to ask people always advice and stuff, and I didn't get into drama school the first time around, but as soon as you're taking people's advice, you're not being yourself, and that's exactly the whole point, is to see who you are. So if you think what you're saying is the right answer, then that's not really you, and even if you get in because of that reason, then you haven't gotten, you know what I mean, that's a false representation of who you are. So I would always kind of be hesitant. I'd stay away from advice. The only advice I give is to actually trust your instincts, like really to go with that. But I mean, that's what fucking every good acting class tells you.
People say them all the time, but know your lines and show up on time. That's half of it, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's such a
I heard a
basic
good thing actually in a podcast recently. Gary Oldman says, I mean, I just love Gary Oldman. But he said, and I was like, geez, that's very interesting. He thinks with lines always, it's not about how well you know your lines, it's about how long you know them. And I'm like, geez, that's true, actually. Like, even if I know something so well, and then, you know, like in 4 weeks later, even the job could be done, and you go, fuck it, I never thought about that. Like, it's the benefit of doing a play is it sits with you for like so long. So I try to become familiar with something as soon as possible to let it
sit with
ferment or whatever. Yeah.
And sometimes
liked
that's not
that.
possible because obviously, as we know, well, particularly in the productions that we did together, sometimes you're handed pages
Of course, yeah.
there
yeah.
and then, and
Yeah.
you're
Well,
like, oh my
changing
god,
seconds before, yeah.
yeah. So sometimes it's not possible, but yeah, that's lovely. Actually, that's really, really nice. And I think you're right because sometimes you step back off set or out of a scene, and you go, and sometimes I even feel like, that's what that meant, where it's like,
Yeah.
it takes a while.
Yeah.
It's almost like the scene's wrapped and you're like, oh, now I understand it. Okay, shit.
Well, I'm filming something at the moment, and in the scene, I realized I said 3 different things in one of the scenes, like completely mistaking the meaning for what it was. Well, I mean, I still got the job, but I'm like, I literally said like I said all these things like with a completely different meaning in my head. But yeah,
They're like, he's so enigmatic.
yeah, exactly, yeah, right.
Do you think actually being like, we kind of touched on this earlier, but do you think that being exposed, like you became quite famous quite young in on a national level. Do you think that being exposed to the media and having, like, were there important lessons that taught you regarding your personal life and your career as well? Because you were very young when you became really famous.
Don't
It was
take
a weird-
photos when you're drunk.
Yes.
It was
Yeah.
it was very strange because I mean, especially just in Cork loves the show so much. It's just weird to have strangers looking at you, and for the longest time it made me uncomfortable, and I was
Yeah.
very anxious that I didn't like it. I almost wouldn't want to go out, just because people were always lovely or usually lovely, but it's still just so strange. And there was one event, remember the screening of maybe the last 2 episodes of season 1 in the English market, and Chris couldn't do it. I think he was doing the play or something. So it was just me there and yourself and
Yeah.
Dom and stuff.
Yeah.
But usually I kind of have Chris to just stand by and then we'll deal with that together. But there was like no kind of security, and I was just swarmed for about an hour. And then I ended up just running out of the English market, just not knowing what to do. And I went into
It's
a
hard.
bar,
Yeah.
and like my aunts and uncles came in, and it was just a real like, what is going on? Why
Yeah.
do these people want to talk to me? I understand it, but I can't comprehend it.
Yeah.
It was also always very overwhelming and stuff if we go out, because me and Alex are best pals, so we hang out with each other anyway. But then they're going Conor and Jock, and also when we're filming, our haircuts, you can't do much about that, your eyebrow and your tash, so it looks like Conor and Jock are out in full costume.
Yeah.
So it was like we couldn't really ever evade, like. But then again, people's memories are so short. Like I don't get recognized in Cork anymore. Like
Do you
like,
not?
no, and I actually filming in Belfast for like 3 months at the start of the year, and I get recognized up there the whole time. It's almost bigger in Belfast. I don't know. Did you find that, Alex, when you were up in Belfast?
Yeah, people really love it. Yeah.
It's big in Belfast, but in Cork, I don't know if it's people don't care anymore or what it is. But
I get it every
won't
single
get.
day. I
Do
get
you?
it.
No, see, I don't.
Now I know maybe because like there's not much I can do with my hair, like unless I dye it blonde or shave it or whatever, that I'm still going to look maybe a little bit more like the
Yeah,
character than you
that
guys
must be
do.
it then. Yeah,
I get
yeah,
it every
'cause
day.
I
Nearly every day.
never get it. No.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And it's a weird one with me because I suppose, a certain part of you gets used to it, and then a certain part of you is this, I find it tricky when I'm with my kids because I want to protect them from it, and Jake is 6 now, and he started asking me what the Young Offenders is and when he can watch it, and he's getting that through his classmates, because we don't talk about it at home, we never do. We don't have
6-year-olds watching Young Offenders.
Yeah, I told him he could watch it when he's 9, and he's like really excited about that, but he's curious. So people have stopped me and asked for photographs, and he's been there.
Yeah.
And it's odd for him to get his head round, so I that's the only time that I'm quite conscious of it. I'm kind of like, if there's other people with me, I immediately, it's like I shove my kids out of the way. I just go, yeah. I don't know. It's a weird thing. I just want to protect them from it. And I don't, they're looking back going, why is mommy taking pictures with somebody else? Or, it's,
Yeah.
how do you explain
Mommy's
it?
a big deal.
Yeah.
it's weird. It's weird. So that's the only time that I find it uncomfortable. I'm on my own. It's fine, no problem. But I get uncomfortable
Right.
when my kids are with me and people are asking for photographs. And sometimes they're just like, like in the middle of a family meal, and I'm like, really? I'm in the middle of a family meal. Anyway, but it's
Well,
all
that's
with
just-
good. It's all with good intention.
Yeah,
It's all
yeah.
with
Yeah,
good
that's it.
intention.
So
Okay. I'm finishing this out with a bit of a live wild quick fire round, okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
mhm.
So because I've gone to Alex first quite a bit, I'm gonna go Chris first.
Thank you.
Okay, this is a quick fire round. This is the live wild. We call it the pop quiz, but it's not a pop quiz, it's just a quick fire round. Chris,
Oh, no. Hey, quizzes. Fun.
what is the biggest risk you have ever taken on stage or set?
Wow. Okay. What is the biggest risk I've ever? I would say it's going to be a character choice of just throwing yourself out there and always trusting that. Like I can't think of one thing for example, but I don't know. I mean, even the way we play Conor and Jock and stuff, and like in those improv moments and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Again, like we said, you know the character so well. Like I love bold choices in people always. That's why I like love Robert Pattinson as an actor. He just completely throws himself out there. So to think of my biggest choice, I don't know if I can straight off the top of my head.
I know what you
But
mean, though,
it-
Chris. Like it's like when you're doing those improvs, or even with the script, we'd be doing some just mad stuff that wouldn't make it onto screen, and we know it wouldn't. But it's great to have the freedom to get that out of the way, because the minute you start second guessing what you're doing in that moment when the camera's running, you're
It can be
goose, like-
seen. It
Yeah,
can be
but-
seen on
yeah.
camera as well when you start down.
Yeah, you can see your eyes
Yeah,
going.
exactly.
Oh, will this be funny? It's like no,
Yeah.
just do it. It's you
Yeah.
should, and that's the goal I think for other jobs is to just try and be as comfortable as we were in the Young Offenders on other sets with strangers, because we knew everyone so well. We weren't nervous,
Yeah.
in front of anyone. But you do a job tomorrow, and there's just 60 strangers around you, so try not to be nervous around them too.
And you know what's interesting about that as well? I found are like having again moved on to different sets and different productions, which have all been amazing experiences. Like a comedy lends itself really well to trying something wild and wacky. You know what I mean? Whereas drama, it doesn't really, and there's less scope in drama for trying something wild and wacky. So you really have to have, I suppose, a faith in yourself that if you turn out looking like a complete asshole doing this, that you can stand in your strength and go, well, sure, look, I was just trying, I was just experimenting. You know what I mean?
But that's it. I was in an audition recently, and I got a few rounds. I went in with the producers, casting director, and the director, and sat there. And in the audition, I had a monologue, and then they were like, "Do you want to improv the monologue?" And I'm like, "It's like quite a dramatic monologue." I'm like, "Okay," but then you're just rearranging the words, and then when I tried
Yeah.
to talk back to one of the readers, because it's improv, I was like, oh, she's not improving with me. So now I'm just improving with myself in this monologue, and I'm like, this is just ridiculous. I'm like, how the fuck am I supposed to? Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah, sometimes it doesn't work.
I didn't get it.
Actually, here's a question off the top of my head. What would you say to actors when they don't get auditions?
Tough shit. Move on. That's just the way it goes, really. It's
Yeah,
annoying and it's gutting, and it's like just happened to me recently with something that I really wanted, and it's like you can't dwell on it because it just didn't happen. So
Yeah.
you're just wasting your time thinking it literally didn't happen. So there's no point in thinking, and when it comes out, that could have been me or that could have been,
Yeah.
because unfortunately it's just not. So you just have to. I don't know. I just don't even think about it really, and I've gotten better at that. But
I like
it's
to
hard at
think-
the start.
Yeah, it's like sometimes it's easy because you'll be doing a tape and you can tell that they're just casting the net
Yes.
over the whole of Europe. So every man in his 20s I know is auditioning for this part. So you send it and you forget about it. If you hear back, amazing. If not, grand. And then there's a few where you're like, oh, I know I'm right for this.
Yeah.
I know I'll be good at it.
Yeah.
and I could do it. Oh, I might get, and then when you start getting excited about the idea of getting it, and then you don't get it, it's like, that's a bit, it can just be a bit.
It is a bummer, but
it is, and that goes back to the expectation thing I talked about, where I felt really as an actor and in my own personal life as well, I really had to start dropping expectation, because expectation was an absolute killer. Because like you said, if you ticked all those boxes within an audition, you know you did a good job, you know you're right for the role, you're available, there's all those things, and then you start attaching, that would be really nice now because that would be my summer. You know what I mean? And you start planning, and I'd really like to work with that person. Oh, I might have a little trip abroad with that, or whatever it is. Then the expectation starts to snowball, and then you're like, you don't get it. So straight away,
you have no right to get it. You have no right to get this part.
Yeah,
I love that.
You do not deserve it. You are not.
Not that you don't deserve it. I wouldn't say that, but it's like you're right. There are so many moving parts to a production. That you have no right to that job whatsoever. So it's like, do it, drop it, and move on. Yeah, 100%.
Someone says that I read it recently as well, which again I try to do more and more, is you treat the audition like the job, and then after you finish the audition, you're like, congratulate yourself, that's done. Yes. And then just forget about it.
That's lovely. And I would always, in my early days when I found myself very wounded, I used to get so wounded by it, like really deeply, like, oh my God, what's wrong with me? I'm a terrible actor. Like, that's the road I went down. I would have to treat myself really nicely. So I'd have to take myself on a date, or like
take
that's
yourself
nice
on a date.
I do.
Oh, I thought you meant ask a guy out.
No.
Hey, you.
Hey, do you want to come over here and let's just, No, I used to be like, I'm gonna like take myself out for a meal, or buy myself something nice, or I'd be really good to myself after it, because it was like, oh, I really felt vulnerable, so vulnerable after auditions and stuff.
No harm in that.
What did you say? No harm.
No harm in that.
No harm in that. No harm in treating yourself well. Alex, I have a question for you. In the Young Offenders, in the film, I think it was the film, you improvised and you used the term wilderpoo. And that term wilderpoo was to describe taking a poop outdoors randomly. And I want to know, did that come from real life experience? Have you done wilderpoos?
It
is the Live Wild show. I feel like I'm entitled.
Yeah, I definitely have. Not in the past while, but yeah. But I think it was definitely something that just the lads would say in school. It came up at one point, so I definitely took it off someone in school. But it's just such a funny,
it's great
thing to say.
I used to say wilder wee. So when I heard you say wilder poo, I was like, oh, awesome.
Yeah. But it was just, a lot of those moments are just like, oh, well, we were both in school at the time. So we were in those positions that Conor and Jock were in a couple of years ahead. Yeah. But you just had the perfect life experience to draw from. We were going to school in Cork, playing Cork guys in school.
Again, we won't name the schools.
I know, Roachdown College, great school. Send your kids there.
Chris, what about you? Has a wilderpoo featured in your personal life?
Yes, it definitely has. Yeah, at times, nature calls, and if you're out there and there's no other option, a wilderpoo must be.
Yeah, there was such a good the dynamic between me and Chris doing those kind of two-hander scenes. You might mention it just before, like, I'm gonna mention this, and then I just want you to be confused by it. And that is the basis of a lot of the comedy moments of just going, I'm going to say something and I want you to not understand what I'm talking about. That's funny.
Yeah, absolutely. And I always loved that setup is so perfect where like you talked about a wilderpoo, then you had to explain what a wilderpoo was. And then you were like, said something like, don't look at me. And Chris's reaction as Jock was just like, I hardly want to watch you taking a shit. It's just, it's the best because it's so true. It's like, even if you are best friends, nobody wants to watch that.
Yeah, even if Jock fancies me, it's like, I don't know. Needs that.
We've touched on it a little bit here, but do you guys believe in magic?
I do.
Yeah?
I do because I like to believe in that sort of stuff, and I believe in the supernatural because I think we're very naive to think that we understand everything that goes on in the world. I love this Plato's simile of the cave.
Oh, stop.
And I
Amazing.
think that we all think that we're outside the cave, but we could be at stage one. You know, like
We are.
all the but all the cavemen, like they didn't even think, like when they discovered fire, they were like, "What the heck?" You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're discovering new things all the time, so to think that we know everything is very naive. So, do I believe in magic? That's my scientific reason for believing in magic. But I also believe in magic because it kind of feels like sometimes it can give me superpowers or whatever in situations, because anything is sort of in the realms of possibility if you believe in magic.
I agree 100%. And I love the reference to Plato's Cave. I always go back to it, where it's just like, you know, you're looking at the wall going, yeah, this is the world. And then in a second, you're like, wait a second.
Exactly.
Guys,
So class.
no, hang on. That's actually the world.
Yeah.
Wait a second. So it just takes...
And that's not even the world. And I heard that when I was 18 in classical studies in school, and I remember it literally changed my life. I was like,
wow.
oh my God.
Yeah.
What I heard
Like,
recently
everything changed.
about that kind of is David Attenborough talking about he's taking the top of an anthill off, and they're all communicating with each other, and they're doing all, it might not be an anthill, but they're talking to each other, they're building intricate caves, and they're doing these amazing things, and I'm looking over them, and they don't even know I'm there because they don't have eyes, whatever these are, but they have other receptacles. And he's just like, bit naive of me to think that I have all the senses. I might be just missing one thing that would let me see all the other things. So there's just definitely more out there. But with magic, when you say magic, always sounds magic's a bit Harry Potter in my head. But
okay.
with like,
I believe in that too.
I do believe in that. I got into magic a bit over lockdown. I was sending Chris videos of me doing magic.
Yeah, you were. That was good.
I knew that's the way you were going to take it. I don't mean magic tricks like,
I know,
here's
I
a
know.
hat and a rabbit.
Yeah. But I do think it's nice to, if you're not necessarily religious, it's a good thing. I think you're just a bit naive to think there's not more out there than what you can just see right in front of you. I mean, I'm talking to 3 people in my bedroom on this thing. That's magic. How
In
we've gotten
itself,
here. I don't
yeah.
know. But either if you've lost someone, it's kind of, it gives you a bit of peace knowing that they're still somewhat around.
100%. And you're right when you bring up like religion. There doesn't necessarily, like, to be spiritual, you don't necessarily need a religion to be spiritual, you know, because spirit is everything and everywhere and everyone, and like spirit is my glass, spirit is the breath I breathe, you know, it's everything. So it's like you don't have to believe in a religion to believe that there's more than beyond the physical realm that we see every day.
Correct.
Chris, what do you stand for?
It's quite a big question. What do I stand for? What do I stand for? I very much value loyalty in people and friends, and kindness, and sort of what a claddering means. Yes. So what is clattering is kindness, loyalty, and there's one other thing I can't remember. Or it's loyalty, but I can't remember. Or it's kindness even one. I don't think it is. It's love. Yeah, but anyway, probably that. I don't know. You know, things I expect of my friends, I try to hold myself accountable to as well. So I suppose.
Kindness and loyalty. Lovely. Okay. Alex, what do you stand for?
I stand for, I think, just not putting yourself above literally anyone else. Like, we're all just trying to make our way through this life. Maybe. And there's, I don't know, people like to say, oh, there's lots of kind, there is lots of kind people out there. There's a lot of assholes. And especially in this, because this career feeds egos, and especially on film sets, as opposed to theater, can kind of bring you back down to earth a bit. But on film sets, there's lots of big personalities, and you do come across people who just do think they're better than other people, and it's just gross, and there's no need. So yeah, I like to think
equality then.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Sounds obvious, but
No. Okay. Alex, I'll go to you first. What's the wildest thing you've ever done?
Oh.
It's a safe space.
No, it's not.
Just don't tell your mum or dad the podcast is coming out.
The wildest thing. Well, if we take wild as in like living wild, I camped from Mizenhead to Mallinhead. That was pretty wild.
Yeah, that is wild.
And it was quite good. It was with two nearly strangers. I didn't.
Yeah,
Lana and Jamie were their names.
not
And
strangers anymore, I'll bet.
No, and they were friends of friends. I think I thought my friends were going, and then slowly but surely people started dropping out, and then it was just me and these two people I don't really know that well. And then we ended up going camping all up the west coast of Ireland, from the very top to the very bottom, and we had a great time.
That's cool. That is wild. Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, and that's a very safe answer. Yeah. Chris, what's the wildest thing you've done?
I'm too going to shirk this question and play it in the literal sense. Probably surfing and camping down in Shidani.
Beautiful.
I'd love to do more wild thing. I've just learned to drive recently,
Hey.
and so I'm dying to rent a car in Ireland and just go around and climb mountains and do the whole Wild Atlantic Way. And I'd love to just get like a camper van and go around for like a month around Ireland. I'd love that to see
I'd
everything.
entered a raffle to win a camper van.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And that was an example of one of those things when if you enter raffles and then weeks go by, every night you convince yourself a little bit more you're going to win this camper van.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
Expectation.
when you naturally
Yeah.
don't win it, you're very sad.
Expectation is the killer of happiness. Nice. Okay. What's Alex? What's one thing you do every day that helps you live wild and free?
Oh God. It helps me live wild and free. I think that's an answer in itself. I don't think I do enough. I think I'm especially with COVID the past few years, you get a bit comfy in your house maybe, and I would like to get out more. Some realization there. I have to go.
You're lucky it is the last question. Chris, over to you. What's the one thing you do every day that you feel helps you live wild and free?
Again, like Alex, I think I should do more. Well, I just started today again. I promised myself for the next month I'm going to do the Wim Hof breathing every morning.
Beautiful.
So I started doing that today, which I love, which is just pure coincidence. But at the moment, I'm filming in Dublin and I'm staying in around Dunleary, so I'm loving going for swims every day, and I'm pretty good at doing it every day because I just love the sea. So doing that, and before Christmas as well, I was in Dublin in November for a while filming, and I was swimming in the sea there then every day I could as well.
Nice.
So I love the clarity you get after swimming the sea. And
I have an answer.
Oh, we have to come
go
back
for
to
it, bye.
We have to come back to
Just
it. Okay.
my buddy Chris there reminded me, and it's actually quite big. Hilary, I've got my scuba diving license.
Oh yeah,
Ah!
so cool.
Yeah, I forgot about that. I have my
Wow.
open water license. I did it with naughty diver Kieran King. Shout out to Kieran King.
A naughty little number.
Hey, yeah, naughty diver. And I didn't realize they use lube to get their wetsuits on because they're putting them on so much, and it's called Naughty Lube. Very fun.
Oh. And also, have you used that product on for wetsuits called Piss Off?
No.
It's if you piss in your wetsuit and you want to get the piss off it, it's called Piss Off.
Oh, great.
Oh, cool. Very good name.
That's a wetsuit tip for you.
What happened first, the name or the chicken or the egg? That's like that one. It's like, I better come up with an idea. Yeah.
So I've been going down to Port Row Quarry. I had to do the theory test first and then a few open dives. And yeah, it's great.
Wow.
I feel like I've unlocked a new level. Thanks for
Hey.
that.
Yeah. A new level of Alex. I like it. And a new
Yeah.
level of Chris unlocked with your car.
Yeah.
Now you're unstoppable, guys.
That's it.
Yeah.
People on set will beg to differ and see me stall and stuff, but I'm getting there.
That's what automatics are for, okay?
Yes, exactly. No. I
Do
refuse.
you remember making the film, Chris? And there was no health and safety. And one night we were out having dinner and a few drinks in this pub, and the barman dropped us back. I think he might have been after a few drinks, and we were shoved into the booth with some raw chicken.
Yeah. That is
Cut
true.
that,
I
Hilary,
spoke
go.
about this recently again in the weekend.
We won't
there
mention what
were-
film that was.
No, we will not. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, I do remember that. I was thinking about that the other day as well.
You're
I
like,
also
"There's a
remember
smell
on the
back here."
film, man, sometimes I get like these like anxiety flashbacks,
Oh.
particularly when I'm on a bike. No, it's not like actually serious, like whatever. It's on a bike, you know. Sometimes like, I'll be cycling the bike and you go, Jesus, like I remember us filming Young Offenders and going down country roads at like rapid speed on these bikes that regularly fell apart. Like
Yeah.
our pedals would fall off. Like stuff would just fall off these bikes, and I remember like being going down the hill like so fast, and you were in front of me, and something always fell off the big fucking yellow bike, and my pedals would fall off, and I just remember being like, if we fall off these bikes at this speed, we are
You're dead.
yeah,
Or
well, are like
maimed.
seriously maimed, I would say, yeah. But like seriously,
I remember
Yeah.
coming home to the house we were living in at the time, and the first thing was there was a black plastic bag in the fridge. And all I remember Peter saying was, and I was pregnant at the time, and he was like, don't open that bag. Don't open the bag. And I was just like, well, I have to open it now. And there was like a full feathered chicken in the bag
oh yeah,
in the
yeah.
fridge. He was like, I have to keep it cool because we're filming with it. I was like,
Yeah,
all right.
even at that, like, I feel like we shouldn't have been plucking that chicken all day.
There was that. And then I do remember coming home another time and there was no bathroom window and,
Oh, yeah.
no bathroom door in the
Peter just took it.
bathroom. He was just
No,
like,
we filmed. He didn't
he
just
filmed
Oh,
in
yeah,
the
yeah,
bathroom.
yeah.
Remember, he took out the windows and the door. He took like,
nothing to do with filming. He
For-
just took the window and door. Peter just took it. He was
Just
that
that
stuck
back
for
window
cash.
would-
Yeah.
That's how we funded the rest of the film.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Chris had climbed out the window and I was just like, went in to take a pee and there was no window. I was like, okay. And then the bathroom door was it kicked down by Dom or something? It was
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
the cops were chasing you in that scene. It was supposed to be in the cafe, but it was actually filmed in our bathroom. So there was no window and no door. And I was just like pregnant going, I have to pee.
I love where we, for the end scene, you kept just holding pots and pans in front of your stomach because you were quite heavily pregnant
Oh,
at
yeah.
that stage. Yeah, we called it the magic hallway.
Yes.
We filmed that the first half early
Oh,
on,
yeah.
and then the second half at the end. So you went to answer the door and you came back pregnant.
That's right, because you couldn't really see that I was very pregnant at the beginning of that
Yeah.
scene, and I just kind of sneak out, and then there's a shot where I turn around, and we had to put you in front of me,
Yeah.
and yeah, you called it the magic hallway because hallway.
Hallway.
That
Oh.
too.
It's a Freudian slip
Yeah.
there somewhere. The magic hallway, because I magically became instantly pregnant overnight. I remember, Alex, there was a scene where you were running, you come home with a black eye or something and you're running away from me and I have to run up the stairs after you and say, what happened to you? Or whatever I was saying. And I was pregnant and getting more pregnant by the day. And obviously, as I was getting pregnant, my boobs were getting bigger as well. And I remember running up the staircase and catching.
What did I do?
No, you didn't do
All
anything.
right.
As I turned the corner of the staircase, it had like this wooden ledge on it. And I caught my boob on the wooden ledge. And when I got to the top, you were just like, that was brilliant. And I was just like,
Wrong with her?
There was no health and safety for anyone on set.
No.
Dom,
good old days.
remember Dom got a clock across the head, and we were all like, "Ooh!" Wasn't it
I
with
don't remember that with the pan.
No, that was Shane got a clock across the head with the pan. It was Dom got this. The PJ would have clocked him on the head with the nail gun.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
And
And
I
then
fell off my
I
bike.
accidentally kicked flour in his ear. And he got
He
like
got
an
an
ear
ear
infection.
infection,
Did he?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that.
then
And he got stung by a bee.
bee.
Yeah.
Snap each at the exact same time. And he was afraid of water and got into the river, and only
Oh,
told us
yeah.
afterwards that he was afraid of water.
Oh yeah.
Poor Dom. Dom got it. Dom got it a lot.
Yeah, he did.
Our
Good
Aus-
guy.
our
Good guy,
Aus-
Dom.
He's one of the best. I always say that Dom is like a shiny unicorn. He's a very rare type of person, isn't he? Though
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's very
I don't
rare.
know many people like Dom.
Nobody. I don't know anybody
No,
like Dom.
no, Dom was great.
Yeah,
He's
this
great.
is
I miss Dom,
an
actually.
appreciation society of Dom. I see him quite a bit. I'm lucky I get to
Do
see him
you?
quite a bit. I do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
We'll
we're
send him
in
our
touch
love.
quite a bit. Yeah, I will. Wouldn't it be lovely to get us all on here at some point?
No.
Mm. That would be a bigger.
I'll edit that bit out. Guys,
It would.
it has been just such a joy. Thank you. Even on a personal note, just talking to you. We don't do this often enough. It's been really, really gorgeous, and thank you. And I'm sure the audience are really going to enjoy the chat. I hope they will. So thank you for being part.
Hopefully. Thanks
of
for
the
having
Live
us.
Thank you. Thanks a million, Hilary. Great to talk as always.
See you soon.